Every single year, millions of us dream about packing it all up and moving abroad. We get totally obsessed with getting the visa and booking those flights. But I'll let you in on a little secret. Touching down? Yeah, that's just chapter one. So that brings us to the million-dollar question. What actually happens after you leave? Because it's those unwritten chapters right after you arrive that really decide if your journey is going to be a massive success story or, well, a real struggle. Today in this explainer, we're diving deep into the reality of life abroad. We'll look at the real opportunities, those hidden challenges, and exactly how you can set yourself up for absolute success. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll cover life beyond the visa, navigating culture shock, the truth about opportunities abroad, how to avoid common mistakes, preparing for success, and finally, how to actually start your journey. All right, let's jump right into part one, beyond the visa, or what I like to call the illusion of arrival. Let's shatter a pretty persistent myth right out of the gate here. Getting your visa, that is literally just the beginning. When you step off that plane into a totally different environment, a massive, and I mean massive, adjustment phase is kicking off. Honestly, so many first-time travelers vastly underestimate this. Those first few weeks, sure, they feel incredible, almost like an extended vacation, but they can turn confusing and overwhelming really fast if you aren't prepared for what comes next. Because beneath the surface, there's this hidden giant iceberg of logistics waiting for you. All of a sudden, you've got to figure out local laws so you don't accidentally step out of line. You've got to decode totally new public transit systems, hunt down decent accommodation, and figure out the maze of opening a bank account as a foreigner. Oh, and don't forget registering with local authorities or wrapping your head around a completely foreign healthcare system. The sheer weight of trying to balance all of this, that's the gritty reality of moving abroad. Which leads us smoothly into part two, navigating culture shock and the reality of adjustment. So once the logistics are, somewhat under control, the emotional reality really starts to set in. Culture shock is basically that sudden, dizzying exposure to a completely different way of life. And let me tell you, it is a psychological roller coaster. If you find yourself feeling totally disoriented or confused in those first few weeks, hey, that's completely normal. It's perfectly fine to struggle with weird new foods, language barriers, or just trying to read the room when work culture and social behaviors are totally unfamiliar. Now, people usually take one of two paths through this psychological maze. Some folks just bounce back in a matter of weeks, while others might need several months to genuinely feel comfortable in their new skin. And honestly, neither timeline is wrong. But if you want a secret to speed up that transition, it's ruthless open-mindedness. Actually, scratch that. It's more like radical acceptance. The absolute fastest way to stall your progress is by constantly comparing everything in your new city to how things were done back home. It just doesn't help. All right, moving on to part three, the truth about opportunities, or the opportunity equation. This right here is exactly why millions of people pack their bags every year. Moving internationally unlocks this incredible access to opportunities that just might not exist where you're from. Depending on where you land, you're looking at elite educational programs, invaluable international work experience, and honestly, significantly higher earning potential. Plus, there are lucrative business prospects, the chance to build a truly global professional network, and access to highly advanced infrastructure. I mean, it really is a whole new world of possibility. But, and this is a massive but, here's the crucial caveats. Success is a process. It is absolutely not an overnight event. Simply being in a new country with all of these opportunities doesn't automatically guarantee you anything. You have to pair those open doors with real skills, proper qualifications, and just fierce determination. A lot of incredibly successful immigrants spend years, sometimes decades, grinding it out and working incredibly hard to establish themselves. Now, we have to talk about the flip side in part four, avoiding common mistakes, pitfalls, and traps. It is absolutely vital to recognize the traps that are just waiting for eager travelers. For one, living costs can absolutely bleed an unprepared savings account dry if you arrive without a solid financial buffer. And failing to research immigration rules? Yeah, that's not just a minor oops. Overstaying a visa or violating the conditions of your permit can literally trigger permanent legal exile, no way around it. And finally, don't overlook the danger of isolation. Building local connections plays a huge, massive role in finding jobs and having a reliable support system. And please beware the illusion of the online highlight reel. Social media is basically a showcase of glowing successes, but it conveniently edits out all the gritty reality. Too many people build their relocation expectations entirely on what they see online. Just remember, people love to share their wins, but they very rarely talk about the crushing homesickness, the absolute bureaucratic nightmares, and the sheer grit it actually takes to survive and thrive. Okay, let's pivot to solutions in part 5, preparing for success, your blueprint for action. So how do you actually tilt the odds in your favor? By treating preparation as your absolute best armor. Research your destination aggressively long before you ever buy a ticket. Master the local laws and regulations. You'll want to actively improve your professional skills so you're actually competitive in a new global market. And aggressively build up those savings before you leave. Start developing your networking skills right now. But above all else, remain totally flexible and adaptable. Success abroad takes an immense amount of patience. And finally, that brings us to part 6, starting your journey, your guide to going abroad. Here is the best piece of news. You do not have to tackle this monumental endeavor by yourself. If you're genuinely serious about traveling, relocating, studying, or just building a better future internationally, there are dedicated tools out there designed to help you step into the world with total confidence. Resources like Travul.org act as the ultimate companion tool for anyone who is ready to make this life-changing leap. Through customized travel consultations, on-the-ground relocation support, critical visa guidance, and direct connections to international opportunities and scholarship programs, they make sure your journey starts with the absolute best information tailored exactly to your goals. Having expert support every step of the way, it completely transforms this daunting, scary process into a really manageable, strategic adventure. Which brings us to our final thought for this explainer. Are you ready to travel smart? The world is packed full of incredible opportunities. But remember, it doesn't just reward arrival, it rewards adaptation. So before you zip up those suitcases, ask yourself, are you just booking a flight or are you actually preparing for a whole new life? Travel smart, travel confidently, and keep learning out there.